VikesNow. I am Dustin Baker. We got new guests today. We are about 4 weeks into the offseason. You can believe that. 3.5, but we're getting to 4. We're going to talk about 3 humongous, juicy topics about the Vikings offseason and offer predictions. We have the Kirk Cousins conundrum, the first and almighty domino. The entire trajectory of the Vikings offseason will be set with the Cousins decision and extension or lack thereof. And then we're going to talk about Jefferson, mainly how much we think that deal will be because it feels inevitable. And then somewhat underrated storyline, whether or not Danielle Hunter comes back. Alas, I have 2 new guests. I have Garret Greenlee from Football Analysis. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing great. My name's Garret, as Dustin just alluded to, and my Twitter handle is at FBallAnalysisYT, and I also run the YouTube account Football Analysis. So, looking forward to sharing some thoughts on the future of our Vikings today.
So you foremost are a Vikings fan, and then you write about the NFL product on the whole. Is that how that works?
I would say NFL first, and then Vikings. And since covering the league, it's the Vikings have kind of like it's just been more league rather than Vikings. But the Vikings are first. Like they're my favorite team by far.
All right, perfect. All right, hence why you're on the show.
Yep.
All right, and then Saivion, what's going on, my man?
Doing great. Saivion Mixson, right for Vikings Wire over on for USA Today. Just really excited to be here. Do write a little bit about the Falcons as well because that is my favorite team. But overall, just excited to be here and excited to talk about some Vikings football.
So, are you completely indifferent on the Vikings? Or are they like your second team?
So completely indifferent is actually the way to go. But just after this season, I can fully understand why somebody is a fan of this team. They just play with a lot of heart. I've had a lot of fun covering this team.
All right, I like this because rarely do I have Switzerland guests who just don't really care. I had Chris Thomason on from the Pioneer Press, now writes for the Broncos. He was the closest thing I had to a non-fan, so I appreciate you being here. Tyler, welcome back, the usual Friday guest. He's doing all kinds of shit behind the scenes for VikesNow, which is appreciated. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing well, Dustin. I write for Daily Norseman. Wanted to give a quick plug there. But yeah, man, just another Friday, just another Tuesday today. So let's get it.
All right, the first thing we're going to talk about, no further ado, is Kirk Cousins. I've asked these gentlemen, for the purpose of this episode, I really don't care what they think should happen or, in Garrett's case, want to happen. I want to know the prediction because the entire everything about Vikings football depends on this offseason, whether Kirk comes back, because if he doesn't, you almost pigeonholed into drafting a quarterback or making some bizarre trade for Justin Fields because you would need a quarterback. So I'm going to start with Garret. There was a lot of smoke about 2-3 weeks ago that, hey, Cousins is coming back on a team-friendly deal. And I tried to tell people this dude never does that. And then when you hear this week from the Pioneer Press, Charlie Waters says that it's probably going to be 2 years, $90 million, wherever he goes. I was like, that sounds more like the Cousins I know. So tell me, sir, as a prediction, will Kirk be back with these Vikings, yay or nay?
Absolutely 100% yay. And I think one of the biggest reasons that Kirk will be back is after Kirk went down against the Packers. Yeah, we had the little Josh Dobbs insanity run, which was fun for, a cup of tea. It was fun for 2 games, 2 hours of actual game time. But after that, it was pretty clear that we need Kirk in the absolute worst way. 2 years, $90 million. I don't want to get, into specifics, in terms of whether he would accept a 2-year $85 million or 87 or anything like that. But what I would like to say about Kirk and in his future with the team is I went to SpotTrack just to get a full picture of Kirk's career earnings. And Kirk isn't like Joe Burrow or Jalen Hurts or any of the young guys that haven't been paid yet. Kirk's career earnings are over $230 million. And we look at Kirk now, who's going to be a 36-year-old man. It's a little different for Kirk to pick up and move his family than it is for some of these young guys that really don't have any ties. Kirk has 2 kids, as we know, and I think Kirk would take a little bit of a discount to stay with, a great situation with, 2 great receivers and then eventually getting TJ back off the torn ACL. And of course, 2 franchise tackles in Christian Darrisaw and Brian O'Neill. Oh, shoot, I can't hear him.
That's one emphatic prediction that he'll be back. One of the most emphatic that I've heard. You'll hear me waffle here in about 5 minutes because I'm still torn. There's a lot of hints that are, to me, not on brand for Cousins. So that's why, I'll elaborate here in a second. But Saivion, you're going to hear me say this probably every Tuesday, the neutral voice of reason. Tell me your prediction on Cousins with an extension or lack thereof.
So with Cousins, I've been going back and forth this entire time. If you guys look at the Google Doc that you sent, I'm sure you're going to see like 7 or 8 times you'll see like me going, "You're back, yes or no, yes or no." But I did land on, I do think that he is going to be back. I don't think he's going to come back on a team-friendly deal. I do believe if they are going to bring him back, that they are going to have to cough up some money. But I do believe that with the way that this team is constructed, especially with the like Garret said, the way that they're constructed with the wide receivers, the tackles, they're more than likely like ready to compete. I won't say I don't know if it's for a championship, but they're certainly ready to compete now. So I would 100% think they would be like, you know what, let's try to maximize as we can out of this. Let's go ahead and just bring them back.
In that scenario where you're kind of unsure but leaning towards it, do you also foresee them drafting a quarterback too, or just doing the proverbial run it back at QB1?
That does give you a bit more leeway to find a quarterback that may need some development. That opens up the door for JJ McCarthy or Michael Penix, but we can get into that, later on down the road. But yes, I do believe they do still draft a quarterback, even if it's just as another backup or just as another, because as you can see, you can never have too many quarterbacks. So I do believe there's another quarterback that is going to be added to the quarterback room.
Excellent. All right, Tyler, reiterate your stance because we've talked about this on Fridays, but I want to hear if it's amended at all.
Yeah, I keep going back and forth on this. At one point I thought, hey, Kirk's coming back. There's no way, he'd leave. But if the whole report of Kirk asking for $45 million a year is true and not just some sort of ploy that was leaked out there by someone, then I don't think you can justify that. And, he's got to go. But, it's tough because Kevin O'Connell loves Kirk. I think the locker room loves Kirk, but you ultimately have to do what's best for the long-term future of this team. And I'm not sure if paying a 36-year-old quarterback coming off a torn Achilles $45 million a year is necessarily the right move. Especially this offseason, you look at the crop of quarterbacks with like Russell Wilson and Baker Mayfield, who could probably ask for less, and they wouldn't be as good as Kirk. But if you're just looking for a stopgap to start the first like 6 games of the season, and then Hawkinson comes back, and then your first round rookie quarterback's ready to go, then you can find that at a cheaper rate elsewhere. But yeah, like I said, it's just tough. So we'll see what happens, but I'm not entirely positive that he's coming back.
Because he has the torn Achilles, I've thought since the offseason started, they're probably going to find a way to bring him back. My initial belief was, 2 years, 70 million, because that kind of meets in the middle that says, you know what, your Achilles bad, you got to prove it. But this 45 million stuff has made me roll my eyes and think, God, is he really sticking to his guns? So right now, like I said, I'm waffling. There's just these hints, like Cousins talked about structure being the most important to him a couple weeks ago. He was talking to ESPN, and that means he wants more than 1 year. And I don't know that the Vikings want to go too much longer than that, because Cousins could have an age-related decline at any time. And then was it a week and a half ago, he told Isabel Gonzalez that, I'd love to play for Bill Belichick if the opportunity was there. And usually when Cousins asked about that, he smirks and says, listen, I'm the quarterback of the Vikings. I don't have time for these other theories. But he was pretty out there about it. And then the Pioneer Press reporting. So right now, it kind of feels to me like Kwesi Adofo-Mensah is the grown-up in the room saying, I got to look out for the budget. I got to protect everybody. And O'Connell's like, I'm telling you, I can win with Kirk. I think that's the polite tension of just the theory that's purely speculative. So we got all the opinions here on Cousins. I don't know if that helps viewers at all, but I think we'll pivot to a more agreeable topic on Justin Jefferson. Now, to all of you, I will invite you to tell me, hey, I don't think he's coming back. I don't think anybody will say that. So what I'm asking here, Garret, first is, Do you think Jefferson will be extended this offseason? And then most importantly, for the budget's sake, predict the deal, the years and the dollars.
And again, I said with Kirk, absolutely, I think he's coming back, and the answer is the same with JJ. For anybody viewing, I actually have a JJ jersey back here, but no, I mean JJ he's a one of one. I mean, you're not going to go out and replace JJ, and it's like hypothetically, if we were to let's say we shop Justin around, okay, we get 2 number ones for him, because we can't pay him 30 million or 34 million a year or whatever the case may be. One of those first round picks would be spent on hoping a player can become anywhere close to as good as Jefferson, which they're statistically probably not going to be, as JJ has the most receiving yards all time of any receiver through the first 4 years of his career. So this decision it's pretty simple. Yes, bring him back. And Justin is 24 years old. He will turn 25 next June. So because JJ was a 21-year-old rookie back in 2020, he will have the rare opportunity to not only get that second contract, but if he signs a 3 or 4 year deal, which I'm projecting him to sign a 4-year, $136 million deal with about 90 guaranteed, JJ at 28, entering that 4th and final year of that deal, would then be able to sign a third contract, assuming that he's still, close to his prime, close to the 1,800 yard player that he showed he was in 2022. And then at that point, the CBA and everything, obviously we don't know what that will be 3 or 4 years from now, because, receiver contracts, were 25 million a couple years ago. They could be 40 million a year by then. So JJ, yes, I think he will be back, and at about an average annual value of about 34 million per year. And then, like I said, entering that 4th year of that contract, he would probably look to rip up the final year of the contract that he signs this offseason so that he can get a fresh extension at that point in time.
Yeah, there isn't too much sentiment that's worried about Jefferson returning. I would just say to anybody that's paranoid, even if there was somebody in the leadership room that said, hey, we shouldn't be playing a wide receiver this much. If there was somebody that said that, there is no way the Wilfs are going to let like a Steph Curry type personality walk out the door. Even if it like dampened the outlook on a Super Bowl, they're still making oodles of dollars on this guy being a national figurehead. So there's just, in my opinion, no way, unless he got pissed and flipped out and said, you know what, you're not bringing Kirk back, screw you. It just doesn't seem Jefferson like. He said about a month ago, almost like, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is, I'm doing my job. So they could also hedge that bet by trading up and getting Jaden Daniels. I don't think Jefferson would be too mad about one of his alumnus. So, all right, we got one, say it was it 4 years, 136 million?
Yes, about 4 for 36, anywhere between 85 and 90 guaranteed.
Okay, fabulous. Saivion, tell me, sir, Jefferson back and how much?
Yes, Jefferson is 100% back. I can almost guarantee it. I mean, that's the face of the franchise right there. That's the face of the. That's gonna be he looks like he's trying to be the face of the league pretty soon. But he's just a overwhelming figure. But the one thing that I saw was, I don't know if you guys read the Jeff Diamond article for the 33rd team to kind of look at what how he could approach this. And I was really kind of looking at how, it's not just he wants to be the highest paid receiver, but the highest paid non-quarterback. And, there have been times where receivers have, reset the market on non-quarterbacks. There was Larry Fitzgerald, Calvin Johnson, all these guys did that. And so I'm thinking, if the opportunity presents itself, which it very well could, I'm thinking that he could maybe get to maybe 5 years, 170, like about 100 guaranteed. And I think that would help with the timeline too. You get these first couple of years where, you can kind of work that contract with Kirk or whoever it is with a roster that's ready to go. And, then you have the back end where you kind of build around Jefferson.
I'm glad you mentioned that. That's the keynote reason that I am personally emotionally ready to move on from Cousins if Kwesi decides that, because to me, you're going to have this precious window where Addison is guaranteed to be in purple clothes for 4 more years. And in theory, if you kept Cousins for an additional 1 or 2, then you'd have the next quarterback have this miniature 2-year window to, hope that he's one of the first rookie quarterbacks to win it all. So left up to me, I would rather them, in my holy grail scenario, trade up for Drake May. start him now, and then you have this glorious 4 years with everybody. Addison, Hawkinson in his prime, Darisaw, and Jefferson. That's just me, and I have the luxury of doing it from a writer's standpoint. I know Kwesi and Kevin have to worry about everything else. But that's where I'm at. I agree with the both of you that Jefferson deal will be complete right in the range of what you're talking about. Tyler, Jefferson's deal, how much?
Yeah, I have Jefferson returning just a little bit above of Savion's number at 5 years, 175 million with 105 guaranteed. Look, I want to talk about there's a lot being said in regards to just like the rest of the NFC North where the Lions are really good, the Packers are suddenly good now, the Bears have all this draft capital, like the Vikings window is over, and there's a lot of pessimism around that. But the upside is if you go for a rookie quarterback, you're sort of resetting that. So by the time the Vikings hit their window, all these other teams in the NFC North, they might be in salary cap hell. So this is actually sort of the perfect time to move on from Cousins and reset. And with Jefferson, it's just, I think he's the best player in the league. I mean, you can argue Mahomes maybe, but at least for non-quarterbacks, it's definitely Jefferson. So it's definitely a no-brainer to bring him back. And I said this on a separate episode too, but Justin Jefferson, what he is to this team is what Adrian Peterson was about a decade ago, where when we had Ponder, the only selling point for this team was to watch number 28 play. Like that's what, got fans into those seats. I don't think the Wilfs can justify, letting go of Jefferson, and I don't think Kwesi or anyone on the team wants to. I think this is something that's going to get done, and it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
And Kwesi famously said last year at the NFL Combine that he doesn't want to generally manage the Vikings if Justin Jefferson isn't on the roster. There might have been a little hyperbole there, but I don't think he would just swing that out there. All right, we might have some difference of opinion on this final one, Danielle Hunter. I'm going to start off, take the floor here. I believe Hunter will be back, and I have two main reasons for it. If they knew he wasn't in the plans to resign, they would have traded his ass last October, probably got a second rounder and change. And this was when they were, miserable at 1-4. So I'm guessing if he wasn't part of the long-term plan, they knew he was going to cost 20 to 25 million now in March. I'm guessing they would have traded him and got some sort of sweet draft capital. Second, twice since last August, Danielle Hunter has said, I want to be a Viking for life. That is the starting point of negotiations. He's not being a hard ass about this. He's saying, I've worn purple jerseys ever since middle school. Those were his words. I don't know anything different. So starting at those two spots, they would have traded him if they knew he wasn't in the plans, and the guy wants to be here. I believe Hunter will be back probably like 3 years, 66, 70 million. That's my prediction, because if they don't, you're starting an offseason with 0 edge rushers, which would be almost mind-boggling. And knowing how the Vikings usually sign free agents, they take flyers on guys like Davenport. And I don't know if you can get away with doing that twice and then hoping to be successful. So that's my Hunter speech. I believe he'll be back. Garrett, you're up on Danielle Hunter.
So I want to explain this in two parts. I do agree that he will be back. However, I did want to, kind of go down an avenue. My official prediction is that he will be back. But when you said Drake May, I think in order to go get Drake May, I really think that if the Vikings were to go get him specifically, it would obviously require them to go up to number 2 to Washington. And I do think if Danielle were to get traded this offseason, I think it would be in a package revolving around that number 2 pick so we could go up and get Drake May. But like you said, if we are to trade Danielle, then all of a sudden, hey, we have absolutely 0 pass rush. DJ Wanham is a free agent, and DJ Wanham is also not a number 1 pass rusher. Marcus Davenport was effectively a free agent bust of a signing. So to answer this question, I do think Danielle will be back. Danielle posted career highs last year with total tackles with 83. He had 16.5 sacks. He made his 4th career Pro Bowl, and he has 87.5 career sacks. In terms of a contract, I think it'll be 22 to 24 a year. And I think that Danielle's agent, and this would be more for like the agents, the agents brag, kind of like how Von Miller signed a 6-year deal, even though everybody knew that it was never actually going to be a 6-year deal. It was just more so that the agent could, oh, hey, I got Von a 6-year deal. I think it would effectively be in that market, and that if Danielle was still producing, 3 years into the deal, that, hey, it doesn't hurt anything if we bring him back for 1 year. So I think it would be a 4-year deal in that perspective, just so the agent could effectively just go around and say, hey, I got Danielle Hunter at 29 years old, a 4-year deal. Here's what I can do for you, with the guarantees effectively being out of the way after the 2nd year.
Noteworthy on Hunter, throughout his career, especially post-injury, he's progressed into a run stopper too. And a lot of times, when you look at a free agent market of edge rushers, and they're one-trick ponies. Yannick Ngakoue, we experienced him in 2020. That's his gig. He rushes a passer. Don't talk to him about run defense. Hunter led the league in tackles for loss. And so that is another reason that I believe that he's not just an edge rusher that, put him in 3rd down, it'll be great. No, you play him all the damn time. And I swear to God, anytime a Viking defender made a stop at a running back in the backfield, I'd be like, wait, is that Want? Nope, that's Hunter, because it's 98 versus 99. And it's always him. So that's just another reason I think it's close to a no-brainer. He'll be back. Saivion, do you disagree at all?
No, you got to bring him back, especially if you have Flores. I think the way he kind of just melded in with Flores' thinking, and how, like you said, he was essentially just he was a perfect package off that edge for what Flores wanted to do. How they maneuver the contract, I'm still working on per se, because I'm not sure how they're going to get the money to get all 3 guys. That's one of the things that I've been struggling with this entire morning. I mean, I just can't. I don't see it. But I mean, if there's a way, I'm sure they're gonna find a way. And I believe that Hunter is just I mean, that's the only thing that you have on the edge. I mean, it's without him, you have absolutely nothing, and then you're just referring to the draft and all that. So yeah, got to bring him back.
There are recent articles from various sites devoted to hey, they could do all 3. And, I firmly believe the efficacy of that statement. But foremost, it will involve pushing Cousins' money into 2026 and 2027. So, yeah, they can sign Hunter, Cousins, and Jefferson, still sign some impactful free agents. But it's not going to be complete wizardry that, how did they get this done? You'll look at the dead cap in 2 years from now or whatever and be like, oh, okay, this is where you pay the piper. All right, Tyler, last word. Exactly. I have one more question for Saivion after Tyler. But Tyler, Danielle Hunter, what say you?
Yeah, I think he returns. I do like sort of the idea that Garret proposed, where you could potentially package Hunter to move up into the top 3 to draft a quarterback. I floated a similar idea, but it was just more reckless, with Chicago for number 1. I'm not sure if the Vikings want to do that, but I mean, Kwesi likes his in-division trade, so I wouldn't entirely rule that out. But yeah, no, I think Hunter is back unless you package him and send him elsewhere to move up in the draft. But if you can't do that, you just bring him back.
And that's in the same $22, $25 million range, Tyler?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's fair. All right, the last thing is for you, Saivion, with your Falcons background. September, blah, blah, blah. Who will be their QB1?
Who do I want or who do I think?
Both. We got time for both.
Who do I want? Jaden Daniels. I want this to be just a clean rebuild and just go ahead and get this going.
Mm-hmm.
Who do I think? Honestly, I think they're gonna go. Stopgap for this first year. I think they're probably gonna bring in somebody. I don't know. Maybe Bates.
Oh, I think we lost him there. Can you still hear us, Saivion? I think I heard Baker Mayfield as a stopgap. Is that what you guys heard?
Yeah. Did I just get booted?
No, you didn't get booted.
What just happened?
We lost you on video.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but if anything, I mean, just a stopgap guy. I mean, probably I would say Brissett, Baker, something like that. I mean, that's what I think is going to happen, and then we draft somebody.
Okay, and no trade for Justin Fields.
I don't know. I just don't see it happening. I think there's too many other teams that would want it, maybe like the Patriots or the Steelers, that would be a bit closer to what they want to be. So,
okay. All right. Well, fair enough. Well, I want to say thank you to the two newcomers, Saivion and Garret. Assuming you guys had a decent time, we'll talk to you next week. Any closing arguments, Garret?
No closing arguments. I appreciate you having me on, and Skull, let's hope for a great off season.
Hell yeah. Saivion, any closing arguments?
the money is there. I just don't know what it is. But yeah, Skull Vikings.
Tyler, you closing arguments.
Skull Vikings.
All right, gentlemen, we'll talk to you in 1 week.
All right, see ya.
Later.